Guys, after subscribing to this channel, please make sure that you also press the bell icon so that no notification, no new video of mine, any educational video, is missed by anybody.
Let's begin with the discussion. The first question that was asked was the types of ectopic. Now, when they're asking 2-mark question, let's stick to 2-mark question. Okay, now these answers were actually helped by my students and they've made elaborate answers. And that makes me understand that what exactly you might be doing in your exams as well. So I had to cut short so many slides just to make it correct for you, to exactly tell you how to exactly answer in the exam. So, all right, so here, just by this figure alone, I'll be able to tell you interstitial ectopic, cervical ectopic, all these will tell me the types of ectopic. So there's no need for this ectopic pregnancy definition over here, but yes, if you feel, you can write down. So there are a couple of tubal ectopic pregnancies, that's fine. You can describe the further, like tubal ectopic, non-tubal ectopic. Amongst the tubal ectopic, there are multiple variations: ampullary, ischemic, fimbrial. A non-tubal ectopic means cornual, cesarean, cervical, ovarian, abdominal, intramural, cornual, everything. That's it. You also have heterotopic pregnancy. If you want extra marks, you want 3 marks out of 2, write this down as well. Otherwise, this table itself is sufficient. Just this table is sufficient. Okay? That's all. Then there was a question, workup of a cesarean scar pregnancy. When I say workup of a cesarean scar pregnancy, I mean workup. Now have a look at the next question. Management of cesarean scar pregnancy. Now you understand, this is 4 marks and that is 4 marks. Let me just put it down for you so that you know which is which. This is 4 marks and the previous one is again 4 marks. This is just the workup. I asked you the workup of cesarean scar pregnancy. That means I'll ask right from the history. All those students who are there with me, who are currently doing the rapid revision answer bank, they know now that when a question is asked management and there's nothing else asked, or they've asked for diagnosis of this case, ma'am always likes to start with the history. And everyone actually. When I say manage the case, I'll ask the history, I'll do the examination, then I'll send for investigations, and then I'll decide a management. So they are saying management, but they still want to decipher out of you whether you are able to start from your basics or not. And all my students up till now, it's like their spinal level. They cannot make a mistake. They've been together now with me almost on the 3rd week now, starting tomorrow. So many answer banks we've done, so many questions we've done. Every day we are discussing what? Some 60 or 70 odd questions. And by now they know how to answer the questions. So even if they know nothing about a question, they'll at least, follow a particular schema. And in that, she'll be able to write down at least that much points that she'll be able to pass. That's for sure, I know. So when I say workup of a cesarean scar pregnancy, start from history. So previous cesarean delivery is the key factor. Presenting symptoms can be anything, between vaginal bleeding, mild abdominal pain, even asymptomatic, incidentally deciphered. Physically, maybe she's having no specific signs and symptoms to bleeding or even fainting attacks, right? And the actual thing comes from the TVS along with Doppler. So what you'll see, empty uterine cavity and empty endocervical canal. Both of them are equally important, correct? Empty uterine cavity, empty endocervical canal. Gestational sac located anteriorly at the level of internal os, embedded in the previous cesarean scar. It could be outside the uterus, it could be inside the uterus. Remember that, okay? That thing is very, very, it could be exophytic or endophytic. Thin or absent myometrial duct. This is again very important. Thin or absent myometrial layer. Prominent peritropoplastic placental flow on color Doppler. Partially full bladder. Of course, you need during the scan to understand it better. Of course, you'll be able to diagnose this best in the first trimester. Beyond this, sac can grow to any dimensions anywhere, and it will be very difficult for you to find out. So this is how it looks like. This is how your cesarean scar pregnancy might be. It could be inside, endophytic. It could be outside, crossing the serosal line, correct? And of course, you will confirm it with beta HCG levels, how they're increasing, what's happening. Okay. Now, see, cesarean scar pregnancy can be into type 1, type 2, type 3, depending on the depth of implantation, myometrial thickness, which I just spoke to you about, right? So how is it? It's inside the myometrial cavity or jetting out, almost like your placenta and creta and percreta, isn't it? Something like that. So crossover sign, we usually don't speak about it, but yes, you should know that an ultrasound, it may predict progression to placenta accreta spectrum disorders, because it's almost that the placenta is like developing where? It's developing outside or inside the myometrial layer. So it's as bad as that. Differential diagnosis is a normal intrauterine pregnancy with a low implantation. It's a possibility. Cervical ectopic pregnancy is, the most closest congener with which every ultrasonologist will get confused. So it's very difficult for it to be differentiated from cervical ectopic. Evolving miscarriage. Sometimes what happens is that a pregnancy which was already doomed comes down in the lower uterine cavity and is about to be expelled. That time it looks very much like your cesarean scar ectopic or cervical ectopic. So here, sliding sign, if you've not mentioned, you will not get marks. So sliding sign will be positive only if it's a evolving miscarriage or a inevitable miscarriage, where the sac is already, literally shriveled out, come down in the lower segment and about to be expelled. So the sliding sign, when you put the probe on it, it will slide up because the pregnancy can be moved. The crumpled sac is literally lying down. So it can be easily be slided up. But this is not possible in cervical ectopic. It's not possible in cesarean ectopic. Clear? So this is the summary table for workup of cesarean scar ectopic pregnancy. But if I ask you to manage this pregnancy, this is how you will do it. Of course, it will be like you start first by a diagnosis, and by proper diagnosis that we are dealing with a cesarean scar ectopic. First of all, we would not like to go for any expectant management. ACOG and even the Fetal Medicine Society recommends against expectant management because there could be high risk of severe hemorrhage at any point in time. Could be uterine scar rupture and progression to placenta accreta spectrum disorder. The situation becomes like that of a PAS. Okay. If the patient wants to, choose to progress expectantly, they should be told about the hazards. So what do? You give a local intragestational methotrexate injection along with systemic methotrexate. Systemic methotrexate alone has a lower efficacy. And it could be high risk of complications despite giving a systemic methotrexate alone. So it's usually in combination with a local intragestational methotrexate and outside systemically as well. Okay. But surgical management, now be very careful here. Operative resection via transvaginal or laparoscopic approaches only when feasible. Ultrasound guided vacuum aspiration with or without adjunctive measures. You will require adjunctive measures, by the way, let me tell you. You can't do a vacuum aspiration without adjunctive measures. Sharp curettage alone, never. Please do not. What you have to do in case you want to go for a vacuum aspiration is probably a uterine artery ligation or a uterine artery embolization or at least a ballooning. Only then please proceed to ultrasound guided vacuum aspiration. Otherwise, it could be torrentially, she can bleed a lot and you will have, again, that problem of PAS disorders, massive hemorrhage and a lot of bleeding unnecessarily. Correct? So that's how you manage a cesarean scar ectopic, and that much information is sufficient. What I've given you over here. No expectant management, role of medical, but local plus systemic both. Surgical, if you want to go for, please go ahead with uterine artery ligation, embolization, or at least ballooning, then go for suction evacuation, not otherwise. Follow-up is extremely important, like in all ectopic pregnancies. Serum beta-HCG monitoring until it is detectable. Ultrasound follow-up confirmation to make sure that the mass is resolved. And any time that she's bleeding erratically, she's bleeding regularly, excessively, please take it seriously and follow up with proper measures. She has to be counseled for future pregnancies. She can have this thing again. So she should be given a proper LARC, effective contraception like LARC, long-acting reversible contraception. So this is the summary table. Okay. In case of any doubts anybody has, make sure that you scribble it down somewhere and ask me towards the end of the class. Okay. I will entertain in between as well, provided they are very, very relevant and they are beneficial for the entire class. I will answer, no problem. But you can ask me towards the end of the class anyways. I hope all my students who are there in the rapid revision are there available right now. Yeah, almost all are there. Great. Good. WHO modified classification for gestational. Well, this is it. So there are certain benign forms. There are malignant forms. Benign, where you have only partial and complete mole. All other malignant forms include choriocarcinoma, invasive mole, PSTT, as well as epithelioid trophoblastic tumor. This you should remember. This has been asked many times and will be asked.